Chevron Delo is announcing a break with convention, giving you even more reasons to choose Delo.
Today, we're here to talk about autonomous equipment again. It's been a while since we've brought this subject up. Today, we're talking with SafeAI just to give us a better understanding of what's on the horizon and how it's going to impact the workplace. Well, Bibhrajit, thank you so much for taking time to be on The Dirt today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Brian. I'm really excited to talk to you. I saw some of your previous episodes. You are doing an amazing job. So looking forward to talking to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So for the audience, can you give us just kind of a brief overview of what SafeAI is doing in the excavating industry and kind of what you guys do overall?
Absolutely. So we started SafeAI about 7 years ago, about 100 people based in Santa Clara, California. What we are doing, we are going after the mining, construction, kind of the heavy industry, if you will, taking their existing machine, truck, dozer, loader, retrofitting them to make it fully autonomous. So when you say fully autonomous, really taking human driver off the unsafe area, no human oversight, no human in the loop whatsoever, making it fully autonomous, giving back to the operator, whether it is a contractor or subcontractor, so they can get their job done more safely and more productively.
And so I guess the big question I have, because this is such new technology, is what kind of capabilities does this equipment have at this point in time?
Yeah, the way you want to think about it, maybe a little bit about that. Tesla might not be a good example, but let me use Tesla's example. Like passenger vehicle guys already developed autonomy at a very high quality. Even if it is not fully there, but their problem is so much harder. They spend about $100 billion developing this solution. So why I started from there, that we are actually the bridge between what's going on in passenger, bringing back to the heavy industry. So on the three critical pieces you need to drive things autonomously, you have a high quality of perception, you know what's going on around you. So you have a very high quality of perception, you have camera, LiDAR, radar, and then you have a high quality of decision-making process. What should we do? So all that packed into this solution. And the third one is all the component we add has to be very cost effective. We cannot put a $500,000 worth of hardware and a $500,000 worth of truck.
Sure.
So I think about all those comes. So these machines are very smart. They can do everything by themselves. Now we are picking use case by use case where this should be deployed.
Gotcha. That's kind of one of the other thoughts that I had is with this being such a new technology, it seems like as a layman, it would be cost prohibitive. Are you finding that's not really the case now that we are getting to the era where this technology is finally starting to be implemented?
Yeah. Let me set the stage up a little bit. So back in 90s, the autonomy was already being used by the US defense.
Okay.
So like a lot of the technology we use today, like internet, your GPS, same story, right? So US military is already using autonomy back in 90s, early 2000, they have something called DARPA Grand Challenge. They're like, this is amazing. Can we also give it to these other people who does things like driving truck, driving tractor, driving car? And that is really the spark, that whole thing.
Interesting.
So why I started from there, this has been making for almost 25 years.
Wow.
And I was part of a company called Caterpillar, obviously, being this industry. I was there with 7 years. So Caterpillars of the world, Caterpillar, Komatsu, Hitachis of the world, they have been working on it for 20 years. They delivered the first solution in the market, full production ready, almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
And that industry have driven or moved 10 billion tons of material fully autonomously, no human in the loop at all. They're given 20% productivity improvement, 25% operating cost reduction, and zero safety incident for almost 10 years, but at a very high price point. So that was the one almost unaffordable to most of the construction industry because they cannot pay that price. And the reason I'm making a long-winded answer because this is going to set the stage up. The way you want to think about that solution is like I give you an example, that's your Tesla Roadster. Amazing car,
okay,
but not very many people can really afford a $200,000 car.
Sure.
Now you're thinking about what we are bringing, where autonomy today for heavy industry is Model 3.
Interesting.
Model 3 is better. Yeah, Model 3 is better than Roadster, but much cheaper and also better technology. So to your point, yes, the price is affordable today for this industry because we have been working on it for as an industry about 25 plus years.
So if I'm translating this correctly, the big reason we haven't been hearing about this on the front lines until recently has nothing to do with where we're at in the development of the technology. It's more, it just hasn't been practical from a cost standpoint until now.
That's right. And I'll give you another punchline on that. Like the way I say, if Google was doing autonomous construction, heavy industry, we would have 30% of the fleet autonomous by now. So two things, right? The cost point, and there is not enough interest went into that. And as I mentioned, the passenger side, 100 billion got invested in that ecosystem jointly. How much you think got invested into our vertical, which is heavy industry and construction and all that, is about $2 to $3 billion.
Yeah.
What 100 billion versus $2 to $3 billion, that's another reason.
Yeah. Interesting. So it's really the return hasn't been there up until this point. That's to really make it worth pursuing on a large scale.
That's right.
Interesting. I never would have guessed that. So I guess now knowing that this technology has actually been around for a while and it's far more advanced than I ever anticipated it being, what sort of contractors would really benefit from autonomous equipment? What kind of industry should really be looking at this equipment?
Let's think about construction industry. Let's pick one example of you're building a dam. Right? Whether you're building a dam as a GC, as a subcontractor, let's say a series of people. The way you want to look at broadly is that a typical dam, let's say, takes about 5 years to build, $100 million to cost. If you deploy autonomy into this system, you're going to get that job done in 4 years in about $75 million. So you're reducing 20% of the time and about 20 to 25% of the cost. So as a contractor, as a part of that industry, you're looking at autonomy is going to enable us to get the job done faster, cheaper, and I can do more. As a subcontractor, you say, I can only take on 100 projects a year because that's my human capacity or the company capacity. Now, all of a sudden, you can take 150 projects a year because now you have an added advantage. So really, it is doing more for less, and you'll see the world is happening. I can give you another example, just a way you want to look at it broadly is that 20% of the world is developed well, whether it is building bridges or not. 80% of the world is looking at the 20% of the world, say, I want the same thing, but instead of taking 30 years, I want it in 10 years. And that is what this autonomy is going to enable.
So when you're talking about I understand the cost is coming down because of the human element, but is it also getting completed in a shorter time because these autonomous machines can run around the clock? You're not dedicated to working hours for people, or what's causing that to be more efficient, that you're able to get the work done quicker?
Yeah. Three main components, and I'll give you the order of magnitude impact on that, right? The number one is, yes, it runs longer hours. Right?
Okay.
And if you take a construction project, and we are in Japan, we are deploying one of the ideas that they run about 9-hour shift a day, but they have permit for 12 hours, but they don't run the next 3 hours because they don't have people. They're 9-hour shift, right? They can't have people for just 3 hours, and they do overtime sometime when it's needed. Now, all of a sudden, we are going to deploy autonomy for last 5-hour shift. So let's say think about a 9-hour day. We're going to add last 5 hours. So take 2 plus 3. And we are going to add additional revenue to that. That's just getting to it because we don't want to immediately switch it up. That's a practical way getting into the site. All of a sudden, we are giving them extra 10 to 15% a day productivity. And you can imagine what it does to the subcontractor who is running on a very tight budget. I need to deliver XYZ. So that's why you will see they are going to give anywhere from 2 to 10 hours, depending on where you are working, extra productive hour. Second is that autonomy, the way I say autonomous machine, another good thing about autonomous machine, it does what it's supposed to do compared to a human. So what I mean by that, if I am driving a truck autonomously, the truck is exactly going to do what it's going to do. Now my loader and dozer is very coordinated. So I am actually gaining about 15% productivity on better coordination.
And your truck doesn't randomly drive over to the convenience store to grab a can of Monster and a Snickers bar. It's going to always be there doing exactly what it's supposed to.
No, and I've been to probably more mine than I should have, more construction sites I should have last 20 years. I can tell you all kinds of story what they do when they're in that cab.
Oh yeah,
Some
I'm
of them
sure.
some of them I can tell you in your show. Some of them I cannot tell you in your show. But there is a lot goes on in the cab, in that truck. Autonomy will not do any of that.
Yeah.
Of that. And the third component you get advantage is that because it runs better, and I'll tell you what I mean by runs better. One example, like a typical manual truck, they do a lot of slide slipping. And they intentionally do slide slipping because they speed up, slide slip, and get their job done. That takes a toll on the, just physically on the tire, on the chassis of the body. It takes about 10% of the maintenance cost goes up.
Oh wow.
For us, autonomy will not do the slide slipping. Autonomy will do what it's supposed to do. So we actually benefited about 15 to 20% or sometimes 25% of the maintenance cost goes down.
Interesting. So you're really getting kind of multiple prongs of savings there.
And just to kind of where I'm getting all the statistics, as I mentioned, because this industry, or a lot of people don't have driven, as I mentioned, 10 billion tons of material they moved. They drove 24/7 for the last 10 years. So these are actually actual statistics from the site. Most of the construction could not get that because it's too expensive. Now they're about to get that.
What does implementation of one of these pieces of equipment look like? I would assume that you kind of, to an extent, you're restricted by the job site conditions because there's a fair amount of programming that's got to go into this and it needs to follow a specific routine. It's not something like a road crew that randomly decides they're going to move 2 miles down the road and work on a different area of the job. It's not like you can just move down there and push the go button. I'm assuming there's a fair amount of setup that needs to take place.
But before we get into that, I want to take a second to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Chevron Lubricants. These past few years have been less than easy. We've encountered challenges we never imagined we'd ever have to deal with. From makeshift home offices and video meetings, to global supply chain uncertainty, price instability, market disruptions, and everything in between. Delivering the level of services and products our customers had come to expect was difficult for all of us. We can't change what's behind us, but we can definitely learn from it. We can adapt, evolve, and take steps to reset our thinking, adapt our strategies, and restore your trust in us to better meet your needs, now and in the future. That change begins today. Today, we break with convention and introduce a rebalanced line of Dello heavy-duty engine oils. We've reduced our product line from 4 categories to 2. Consolidated and simplified, this lineup removes complexity from the manufacturing processes, enhancing price stability and supply chain reliability, so you can trust you will have the premium products you need to keep your business always moving forward. Our break with convention optimizes the Dello lineup to allow you to provide your customers with the best synthetic blend and synthetic heavy-duty engine oils in the market, fully available at prices you can rely on. It's your assurance that you'll be well positioned to be their trusted source for proven engine protection that keeps equipment on the job, giving your customers even more reasons to choose Dello.
It's not like you can just move down there and push the go button. I'm assuming there's a fair amount of setup that needs to take place.
There is a fair amount of setup. I think when we look at a certain use case or a certain job to take on, we have certain characteristics we look at. So the number one is that it has to be a longer project. So if it is, let's say, a project runs for 6 months, not beneficial because you need a little longer time because you do have a setup time. Second thing is that there has to be enough repeated tasks going on. If you are kind of variability all the time, human does that better. When you are like literally like, I went to one of the job site, they want to build a pool on your backyard. It's a big pool for a hotel. Mm-hmm. That kind of job is still gonna done by the human. Yeah. It's very complicated. And I went through this, this guy done that for 30 years and he was teaching me for almost 2 hours how they do it. You're not going to do autonomy for the pool designing today. It's just too complicated. You're looking at, I am building a dam. I am building this road. All I'm doing for first, let's say 1 year, I'm building up the dirt, dumping it, flatten it out and keep doing it and doing it mile after mile. Yeah. That's the kind of job we go after because you really want to think about the passenger vehicle. They already do much more complicated stuff. It's just their problem is even harder. So there is no bar for technology in this industry. It's a question of what is the right place to go for money to return.
Yeah. Interesting. So that's actually a perfect segue into my next question. What does the future of autonomous equipment look like? And I kind of intended that to be an open-ended question, but now I kind of want to steer it a little bit towards, do you foresee implementation of this technology getting easier to where we will see it on more of our just kind of run-of-the-mill road jobs that are in every town everywhere?
You will see. I think even in our vision, we've laid out about 20 to 30% of the asset. When I say asset, means any of those truck, dozer, loader, you will see them autonomous over next 10 to 15 years.
Wow.
It just takes a natural time to grow. I'm not saying it will happen overnight, right? This is, we have existing asset, we have a lot of things to grow, but you will see the transition happening. So you will see this more and more and over the time. And as this autonomy get deployed, people will see the ROI. The more ROI they see, the more R&D budget they can put in for future harder case. So it's really a cycle, because you want to go into a use case that is simple. You get your ROI. Once you get your ROI, your management say, okay, I see 10% improvement. I see 20% improvement in my bottom line, like actual dollar. I can spend 2% of that money back into the harder use case that can need more R&D to deliver that. So you'll see the cycle start, and autonomy going to start eating up more and more of the use cases. Another side of it is that doesn't mean that we're just going to do the same amount of work and less people. What we are going to do, we're going to do more work in that time, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And human is going to move from this very unsafe work being on the side. And I can give you example after example on fatal accident we see in this vertical. They will move into more higher quality job where they're going to actually do the management, orchestrating, and planning. And that is the new generation wants to do. So it's actually a move good direction. You're going to attract the new generation into this industry. Now you are providing them a higher quality, much higher paying, and safer job than the last generation has done.
Yeah. And that kind of plays into my final question, which is that is one of the biggest, I think, knee-jerk reactions of our industry when you start talking about autonomous equipment is the classic, they're going to take our jobs. That's everyone's defense. And so kind of as a rebuttal to that, you've kind of tapped into that. But what else would you say kind of along those lines to kind of calm everyone's fears that, overnight we're not going to see a bunch of autonomous dozers out there doing everybody's job?
And I think one thing I love about your work and what you have done great show, like you're shining the light on that thing. This industry is big. So one of the things is that there is actually 3 to 4 people out of 10 people get deployed by this larger construction, mining, like heavy industry. So it's a big portion of the job.
Yeah.
So that's the first kind of setting up the statistics. So another thing is that we will not take away job in a sense of, as I said, we will do more. And also the new generation doesn't want to do this job. I go sit with the driver. I'm an operator in so many places. I go talk in the universities. The new generation doesn't want to do this job, but they are going to get interested in this thing because it's going to be technologically savvy, it's going to be higher paying, and it's going to be safe. Then they want to do it, right? I was talking to one of the operator, and it's a woman in Australia, and she's like, I'm just going to do it for 5 years, then I'm not going to do this job. I'm young, I can do it now. After that, I don't want to do this job. But I said, this is happening, then you get to go to office and plan. And she's like, oh, then I'm interested. So what you will see, you will actually attract more the next generation. The current generation, there will be a displacement, but it will be very slow. But it's the next generation is going to get attracted. So you'll see more people actually coming into this industry and continue to that flow. It's just we are going to do more of it.
It's interesting to hear you have that conversation on your side of the table, because what we've found in the industry is the exact thing you said, but it's not couched in any of those words. So what we see on our side of the industry is no one of the next generation wants to work, and every one of the contractors are out complaining about that. And then we also have this, the lion's share of the people who they're going to take my job are about ready to retire. The average age in our industry is around 57, if I remember right. And so you have all these people that are complaining that their jobs are going to get taken, but they're all going to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. And this next generation that you just talked about, who's truly in the process of having their jobs potentially taken, happen to be the generation that don't want to go out there and do those jobs. And they are better suited. And to be honest, they're better equipped to take over those roles of being the programmers, being the project managers, being the technology facing portion of the workforce.
And I think the way you set up that is exactly right. Even for the generation that is working today, as you said, 50, 62, and the mining is about 52. So 52 to, let's say, 50 to 60 year average, their job is also not going, because this technology is hard. It is not going to overtake, like it takes a lot of things. You have hard technology, you got actual hardware, you got operation. It will take its own time to come in. So even current generation would be fine, because this is not overnight technology. This is just not, right? Safety is going to slow things down just by nature of it. Another way to not only just the next generation, but the way we do mining, the way we do construction for last 100 years hasn't been changed.
Yeah.
Right. This is not the best way to build things. This is not the best way to do things. So not only you want your next generation to actually run this thing, they have the idea that you and me doesn't have that idea. So one of the things is that 16-year-old kid who is going to the high school, going to the college right now, that guy, that person will have idea how to do construction differently. You want those people to come in. So I think that's another, it's not just autonomy, but it's the way we do construction. And as I keep saying, people that I don't have idea, and I'm not supposed to be the guy who's coming. It's a 16-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, 11-year-old kid now doing their thing in the high school and the school. They are going to come. You want to attract them. You want to bring them to the industry, and the technology and higher safety is the way to bring them. Will make this industry so much better.
Yeah, I've gotten so excited, having the opportunity to do the show. I get to talk to a huge smattering of people across all areas of the industry. And I always get excited talking to the tech people, because if you really think about it, our industry hasn't seen a technological revelation since we went from cable-driven machines to hydraulic machines. I mean, that was a long time ago. And what we've done is we've made that technology better and better and better, but it's still the base technology of these hydraulic machines that are man-operated, going out and doing the same work every day. And we've added GPS, and that's been a huge step forward, but at the same time, we're still using that base technology. And I really feel we are on the cusp of the next revelation and total evolution of the construction industry, specifically the dirt industry.
We will, and I think this is a very good, as you say, it's a right time. And another thing people do not understand, like think about your smartphone, right? You use iPhone and whatnot. It has gone through such a drastic change last 30 years. What you used to use 30 years ago, and you use your iPhone all the time. But I was like, do you realize what else do you use all the time? Your house, your road. Like, do you not use your house and road all the time? They need to be changed, the way we design, the way we build, the way we maintain. Because if people forget about those obvious things, like I was like, you live in your house all the time. What do you think your biggest purchase is? Is your house, not your iPhone, right? And what do you think you feel so, even more than your car and your iPhones and all those, your best thing is like, I have a house. This is my thing. So I think even at a human point of view, you want to see those innovating, your house, your road, and your infrastructure that you're using. And that's a big part of your life. Not just your iPhone is great. I use that. But that's not the only one in your part of your life. This thing, you take it for granted. They need complete kind of new innovation, and technology will bring that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much for the time and all of the conversation. This has been really interesting. I have really enjoyed it.
I really enjoy talking to you, Bryan. And as I mentioned, I keep seeing you, so keep doing it. I know people don't realize when they just click on a YouTube, I don't like it, like how much hard work is on the back of it. So
I can't take all the credit. There's a whole team behind me. I just sit here and ask questions.
And the guy who said that, I know that's the guy that does the most amount of work. Always do it. I really, really appreciate your hard work.
Well, thank you again for SafeAI taking the time to come on the show today and just give us a breakdown of what to expect and just kind of what's out there. This is a new emerging technology, and there's a lot of promise on the horizon, but there's also a lot of uncertainty. So as always, I hope this helps you in your business. We'll catch you on the next episode of The Dirt.